What's going on, y'all? In today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of Rival Restaurants. Now, Rival Restaurants is a game about a group of restaurateurs trying to become the best of the best, or the wiener. Now, in this game, you're going to be using chef's special abilities to make your way to the top, as well as leveling up your restaurant to help it become more efficient and get you to the crown a lot quicker and faster. So in this review, I'm going to be going over 6 ingredients that I like to base my reviews upon. The first is going to be component quality, so how good the components in the box are. The second is going to be rulebook to table, how fast can you read the rulebook and be able to play the game. Second is going to be ease of explaining and complexity, so how well can you explain it to new players or players that have never played a board game, and then also the complexity rating overall. The fourth one is going to be the player count, so how well it does from the lowest player count all the way up to the highest player count. The fifth one is going to be the theme, how well the theme of the board game comes out when you're playing it. The sixth and final one is going to be replayability, so how often can you replay it before it gets stale or boring, anything like that. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's go ahead and go over the component quality. So I did get the deluxe edition from Kickstarter, which comes with the acrylic tokens. But if the standard edition is anything like the other components of the game, then I'm sure the standard tokens are really good as well. So to start off, we have the action cards. Now all the cards, chef's cards, recipe cards, basic recipe, and deluxe gourmet recipe cards, they're all going to have the linen finish. They're going to feel like poker cards. They're going to be smooth in your hand, easy to shuffle, just very smooth overall. We have the board. Board is nice. It doesn't... So some boards, when you lay them out, you'll have to kind of bend them the opposite direction a little bit. This one, I didn't feel like I had that problem as much. It was still there because, of course, it's been folded and in the box shipping through. But the problem with the folding wasn't that big. You have your standard hourglass. You have these really neat trays. So we have a tray or a container for the trash tokens. Then we have the tray for all the discarded cards. We have all the different ingredients, and you discard them here. Then we have a place for all the clips. These are plastic clips, by the way, and you're just going to slide them on the restaurant like so. And that's really nice. The restaurant cards have like a vinyl feel to them. They feel really nice. It also has these thick cardboard wheels, which is pretty cool. You do assemble them yourself, but the cardboard is still pretty thick and nice quality. I do have one small gripe, is that the standees, they're really nice, but when you put them in the standee holder, you can sometimes damage the tips of the standees if you're not careful. And that is, I just wish the holders were easier to put in, or the standees were easier to put into the holders, because you have to kind of open it like that and then slide it in. But yeah, the standees are great. The cards, really love that linen finish. Of course, I did get the acrylic tokens, but overall, I'm going to give the component quality an 8 out of 10 because it's really nice. It seems like they definitely took their time in making it and cared about the end product. Then we have the rulebook to table. So, of course, how fast can you read the rulebook and then be able to get it to the table? So I put that right around an hour or an hour and a half, because you might have to just go back through the rulebook and look over some things a couple of extra times, things like that. If you really wanted to, you could read the rulebook while playing the game, but it is going to add at least 30 to 45 minutes to your overall play time. So I would give that a 7 out of 10. But then there's also the quick start guide. So if you've already gone through the rulebook once and you just need kind of like a refresher, then the quick start guide works really well for that. And then once you know the rulebook and everything, there's definitely a flow to how you play, because there's money and move, there's buy and barter, and then there's cook and counter. So there's 3 phases of the game. The only areas where you definitely need to like look at the rulebook and things like that are for like the chef's powers, or if 2 chefs are on the same zone, what happens during a bidding war, things like that. But definitely a 7 out of 10 for the rulebook to table. Then we have the ease of explaining and the complexity rating. So the ease of explaining, I judge it based upon if they're new board gamers and you want to introduce them to this game, how easy it is to introduce them to it. So on that, I'd give it probably a 6 out of 10 because there are some areas where it might be a little complex for new players, things like that. You might have to go over a couple of times. Definitely play through it because that helps a lot. You play through it one round without the timer or a couple of rounds. People start to get the hang of it. They get the flow of it. And then the complexity rating overall, I'd probably give it about a 2.5 to a 3 because, like I said, once you get the flow of the game down, it's not that hard. You get the flow of the game. You're like, oh, okay, I go here. I could pick up the action cards. Okay, so we're on the same, and now we battle, things like that. So ease of explaining, a 6 out of 10. Complexity rating, a 2.5 to a 3. Next, we have the player count. So the player count being players 2 to 8. So at 2 players, it's really cool because they have a special in the back here, right here. It says 2-player setup. So it basically tells you special rules for 2 players. And what you're doing is you're having a team of chefs instead of just one chef versus another. You have a team. And so I thought that was really cool. I haven't played it all the way up to 8. The most I played it with was 4 players. At 4 players, it runs very smoothly. The flow is great. The time says 45 to 60 minutes. I feel it went maybe an hour and 15 minutes only because it was our first time playing. But the flow was still really good. We got through it. It didn't feel like you were bogged down or anything like that. There was not really much waiting for your turn because you basically all play at the same time. So at 4 players, I can say it was really great, and I haven't played past 4 players, so I'm going to rate it based on that. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because the flow was still really good. Of course, I assume once you start adding more players, you have to add more time as well, and I think 8 players would still move pretty smoothly because, again, you're all going at the same time. The only thing I think might take a little bit extra time is the buy and barter, because if 2 of you land on the same spot, then you need to battle it out and auction off, the ingredient that you both want. So I feel like that might take a little bit extra time, but I still give it a 7 out of 10 for the player count. Next, we have the theme. The theme being you are a bunch of restaurateurs going against other restaurateurs to be the best of the best. And I feel like the theme comes out really well. I feel like when you're playing this game, it feels like you're on one of those cooking shows where, you're trying to make the best recipe and there's judges and things like that. But without the judges, it's just you owning your own restaurant. But I feel like this game grasps that really well. It also has, so when you make recipes, you create garbage. And if you don't take the garbage out, you lose points. So, it's kind of like getting a bad health score when the health inspector comes. If you have trash piled up in the back room of your kitchen, then you're not going to get a good score. But the theme overall of you being a restaurateur battling other restaurateurs, I feel like it's really great, and that I'm going to give that a 9 because that is really fun, and the speed and the ingredients and things like that. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Then we have the replayability. So how often can you play the game, or how many variants are there to keep the game entertaining? I'd say I'd have to give that a 6 out of 10 because, so there are different restaurants and things like that you can get. There's different chef's abilities. There's different abilities on your restaurants. When you upgrade your restaurants, there's different things you can do. But that can only go for so long before you start feeling like you're doing the same thing over and over again. On the bright side, though, they do offer an expansion to help further your gameplay and replayability. And yeah, it's really cool. So for the replayability base game only, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Do I think you should go out and get yourself a copy of Rival Restaurants if you like fast-paced games? If you're tired of waiting for your turn to actually play the game? If you like cooking shows? If you're trying to find a good restaurant-themed board game but don't know which one to find yet, then I definitely suggest you go out and find Rival Restaurants. Overall, it's a great restaurant game. It's a great game for a lot of players. Really fun, exciting. Rival Restaurants. If you enjoyed watching this video and you'd like to see more, delicious reviews. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. I'll be posting more videos soon. Thanks for watching. The Other Board Gamer.